Thank you. So, as the agenda is laid out, I think that makes the most sense if maybe we go through 104 first, and then we can address those other three policies that we wanted to talk about. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. So I don't know if you have everything pulled up and ready to go, but the first one we would look at is 2:220, the school board meeting procedures. And we were fine with everything on our end. And it looked like it was really, pretty minimal for the most part, but was there anything that the two of you wanted to talk about?
Not for me.
No, that seemed fine. It was pretty much just clarifying who's responsible for deciding whether we're having a virtual or an in-person meeting. And I think it's better to have, this does improve it so that everything's not up in the air and it's one person who decides, and, and that one person's responsible for making sure we comply with IOMA and all that fun stuff. So that's all. I mean, it pretty much just clarifies whatever is currently in place because of the pandemic anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The next one is 4:180. And as you can see and imagine, there's a lot new here due to our current circumstances. So even though there's a lot here that's new, as we read through it, we were fine with everything and all of these suggestions. Was there anything that the two of you wanted to talk about?
So with this one, this goes back to some emails. It was a couple of weeks ago, I emailed Tony, and then he looped in another attorney from his firm, Heather Brickman, about this issue, and Rick was CC'd on this too, about what we're doing for this round of the plan. And so Heather sent an email anticipating this amendment to, 4:180. And so in the amendment, it requires, the superintendent approves the plan, but then the board, as it's stated there, they still have to approve it. So let me see what that language was. Hold on. It's towards the end, right?
Are you currently talking about the policy or what the other
policy? So I don't remember if I forwarded this to you, Rebecca. So
I don't think so.
4:180, with this press 104, it's being amended. So the timing of it's weird because our next meeting is the 20th, and school starts the 27th for when students start. So I mean, this deadline is short for any amendments to 104 to be effective now. So 4:180 to be effective now. So the issue is what Hodges Louisi was doing was when they were counseling their clients, they were circulating these two resolutions in anticipation of this amendment to the
I see. Yeah, okay.
And in that amendment, the procedure changed slightly where, let me see where was that at the end? Where, the superintendent approves the plan still, but then you still need the board to vote on it. Let's see what the language said.
And I don't know if this is also what you're referring to. There are a couple of policies that are here, but they're going to be brought up again in Press 105. So I don't remember off the top of my head if this is one of them, but there is a possibility. So I don't know if that's involved here too, or this is just a separate amendment.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So Eric, 4:180 is not part of 105 again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, this is the red line version that I'm looking at. So it's saying that we can, revise the policies. Rebecca, are you fine with that? Because it mentioned with the revision of policies, it says the board president and superintendent may examine existing board policies and recommend to the board for consideration. That was a question I had for you, Rebecca. Is that procedure fine with you? I mean, it's fine with me.
Procedure fine being that it's not a board decision, it's a board president and
Well, no,
superintendent.
this is for emergency school closings. It's saying in the red line version of 4:180 that the president and superintendent can examine the policies and recommend them to the board. I mean, it's not saying that the policy committee can't do it. And then it still says that the board has to, you know, approve the amendment also.
Yes, I see that. I'm fine with that.
So I'm not aware of anything with this amendment. I don't have a copy, or this is the first time hearing about it. So could you send me something so I could
it's in
read
the
it?
red line policy worksheets for that Natasha emailed us, or you get them from press.
Right.
Yeah,
But I thought
it's part of Press 104.
So if you have the PDF open,
yeah.
it's on page 16 of the PDF, 16 of 49 at the top.
At the top, that starts with during an emergency school
Yeah.
closing? Okay.
Okay, we're on 4:180, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I only have 6 pages of this policy, but you're saying there's 40.
If you look at the worksheets, the July 14 policy worksheets for 4:180 with all the comments in the margins and all the red lines and all the footnotes.
I think that
I
was
see.
first email, yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at the policies themselves, and then there are policies with the worksheets as well.
Yeah,
So
so I
that's
just was pulling up the worksheets because it's easier to focus on the amendments.
yeah,
Okay,
the
so-
worksheets are always a bit confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm getting lost. So you're right. I'm only looking at a policy that's 6 pages long. It has a couple comments in the in the sidebar, but that's it. So Natasha, am I supposed to be looking at something else?
So on the Press 104, you have the policies, and then you have policies with comments or worksheets. So you want to go to the second one, but I think it might be easy if I just resend it to you now. You don't
Okay.
have to be looking for it. So let me send it to you. They're always a bit confusing because there's 2 different versions, and the comments are always, yeah.
And
You want to look at the worksheets with comments, which I just sent you, and 4:180 is in there.
it's page
Okay.
16.
So 16 and 17 are the relevant pages for that. So 16 had the procedure for reviewing the policies during a pandemic, and that said that it's the president and superintendent, which is fine because, like I said, it doesn't say that you can't still have a policy committee meeting. And then the other issue was that sentence on page 17 of 49.
So
Sorry,
Natasha,
Eric, I think, yeah, I sent you the wrong thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I just looked at it. I'm like, oh, hold on. I just sent you the wrong batch. They start the same way, so they're in my downloads. Here they come. My apologies for that.
no, it's fine.
Okay, so yeah, there you go. You should be good.
Okay, I'm just waiting for it to come through.
So 2:220, we're fine with all of press, so that's done. We're on 4:180.
Yeah, and you said page 16, right?
16 of 49 of the PDF. So don't look at the bottom of the page, but look at the PDF page numbers in your Adobe.
If you just go to
So
4:180, that'll be, yeah.
Yeah,
that'll be
can
the
you
correct
help me?
page.
Because as I open 480, it's still only 6 pages.
Right. No, the policy itself is 6 pages.
The PDF that I'm looking at is 49 pages.
Right, but the policy 4:180 is only 6 pages. I think that's
Right.
what Eric is asking.
Right, but she keeps saying page 16, and I don't have a page 16 because I don't have
Oh.
49 pages.
Oh, wait, no, I did send you the one with the 49 pages.
So it's called, the title of the document is called June 2020 Policy Worksheets, July 14, 2020.
Yep.
Yeah, it is 49 pages, Eric. The one I just sent you a little while ago, the second email, should have 49 pages.
Yeah, I'm sorry. In section 4, there's only 6 pages, and then it goes to, now it's going to all the 7s.
So you open the PDF and it says 49 pages at the bottom, right?
Let me get to the top. No, it says page 1 of 8.
Oh,
Hmm.
are you, I'm
There's
looking at,
220s first.
right, but you should have 49 pages because I just sent you, and when I'm looking at the sent email, it says 49 pages. So that's bizarre.
Right, so there might be 49 pages total, but it keeps saying like 6 of 6, 7 of 8.
Ooh, maybe
So,
that's how your Adobe's set up.
Oh, probably,
So
so
yes.
if I go to
I
page
think.
16, I'm going to be, I don't know that I'm going to be in the right spot.
Sure.
Oh, I see. Well, all you need
Oh,
to do
I
is
see
go
now. Sorry.
Okay.
I
Okay.
see it now.
to, okay, good.
I have to look at a different page, not the actual page numbers that are on the
Right.
document.
Right.
Okay. So where on page 16 should I be looking?
The top, it just said during an emergency school closing, the board president and superintendent may, to the extent the emergency situation allows, examine existing board policies pursuant to policy 2:240 and recommend to the board for consideration any needed amendments or suspensions to address the mandates that the district may not be able to accomplish or implement due to a pandemic. So it's just a quicker way to get policy changed. So that's
Yes,
fine.
okay.
Substantive change.
Okay.
And then the next big one though is on page 17. So go to the next page
Yeah.
where it says the superintendent shall approve and present to the board for adoption a remote and or blended remote learning day plan. So that's the issue there. It's present to the board for adoption. And that was the issue now, because right now if we amend this, then obviously with the timing where it's not, this amended policy wouldn't be effective as of the start of the school year.
Yeah, so, when Rick and I originally talked through it, we kind of went the route we purposely went. And so I guess I'm wondering, I don't even know that I can necessarily say I'm on board with it until maybe the board had a discussion or we heard from the board. I guess we are the policy committee, so we could bring that piece to them. Does that make sense?
That does. I mean, if we pull it out, I mean, I think I'm fine with the press 104 suggestions as is, and then I guess we'll just see what everyone else thinks, right?
Yeah.
Rebecca, are you fine with that?
Yeah, fine with that.
Okay,
Okay.
because that's what I was saying is that the advice from, or that email from Heather Brickman, Tony said, yeah, we don't technically need to approve it, but then this Heather email was in anticipation of these amendments to policy 4:180, so
Yeah.
to the extent that, let's say we did adopt it, if we had a policy meeting a couple months ago, then yeah, it would be,
Okay.
more relevant.
And in the future, if you could send me those emails or things just so I'm up on them, that would be great.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I know that 2 of us can't even talk about policy because of the number, but I think Tony said before that it's okay if it's a one-way communicate. I think, I think you're you are CC'd on this. This is the one from Thursday, July 30th,
Okay.
from Heather Brickman.
Okay.
So if I send you and Rebecca an email, I don't think you're able to reply to me unless it's about scheduling, right?
Eric probably can. I just
Yeah,
can't.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can.
Okay, yeah, no, but you were CC'd on this. This is a
Okay,
email from Heather to me, Tony, Rick, and you.
got it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
then if we do adopt this, let's say we adopt it even in September and we change remote, however our plan is, then we would have to vote on the change, right? Like we have a current plan to go back to school in August. When this becomes policy and that changes in October, November, March, then we would have to vote as a board.
That's the
right?
way I'm reading it.
Okay.
Right. That's, That's how I would read it too. But then, yeah, if we wanted to discuss that, I guess, next week, then that's fine too, just to see what, because
Okay.
right now we're not approving anything, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just to give you a little bit of background, there are some boards that have adopted this policy. They did last year. For some reason, they wanted to be ahead of the curve. I have someone who lives down the street from me who's my counterpart at New Trier, and they do now have the board vote on these plans. So yeah,
Oh, wow,
that is the way it's going.
That, yeah, I think a bunch of other districts too, just like what Hodges Louise said in their email, that a bunch of them are doing these resolutions with the 2 options. And then I think 207 voted, right?
They did.
They will, or they will.
Oh,
If they
okay.
did, or they will.
I think they did.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. Okay, so I think we're good on this one. I think we're moving on to 7:40. We were fine with everything in this policy.
Yep, same here.
Okay. Moving on to 7:190. We were also okay with everything here.
Yeah.
Okay. Then 7:340. Sorry.
That was a lot of scrolling.
Yeah. We were also okay with everything here as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then 7:345.
Right, that's the new policy.
Correct. So, we went through this and then I had MJ go through it at a greater length and we're fine with everything.
Okay. That was my only note was, is MJ okay with it? So.
Yeah. Okay. So anything else on Press 104?
No.
Okay. So then, so the first item is that we have in addition is to discuss student attendance on election days. And what my recollection was from the board is once we put in the new calendar about the November 3rd election, and because we changed then the April election into an institute day, so there were no kids in school, I think there were members of the board that brought up, should we just do this permanently and always make it so? So I guess a couple things. First of all, we kind of went back and looked through press. There isn't a policy on this type of thing. So it would be something that we would have to create. We'd probably have Hodges and Louise create a draft for us to look at and go through there. But I guess I'm raising the question, is it necessary, since the board approves the calendar every year anyway? I'm just trying to think, do we put something somewhere else? Is it a board duty, or is it a board expectation, or is there some kind of sub-bar that knows that when we go ahead and approve the calendar, we will also do this? But I didn't, but I don't know if you guys had other thoughts on it.
So if we were to change it, one possibility would be to add it to policy 6:20 about the school year calendar and day. That talks about, commemorative holidays, school days, the number of days of actual student attendance, and that sort of thing. I mean, I guess the problem would be, let's say we did have horrible snowstorms or something, tornadoes, and had to shut down. So we might have to use one of those election days.
Right. But I think at least when we're approving the calendar, we can make sure that that's, put in.
Right.
Okay, well, how about, would it make sense to have it as an administrative policy for when you guys are creating the calendar? Or?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
It makes more sense as an addendum to me.
Yeah.
Something new.
Okay. So then the next one is in regard to the balanced budget. And as we were reviewing, 4:10, we felt like there was a line in there that already said that we needed to keep a balanced budget. So I just wanted to know if you felt that the language in there was already okay, or if you felt that we needed to do more to it.
I'm fine with this as is.
Yeah, same here. And I think Rick brought it up once at a meeting, didn't he? And everyone was fine with it, but it wasn't,
Yeah.
everybody look at this policy, but I think in general, he asked the same question. Do you remember that, Rebecca?
Yeah, okay. And then the last one is the procurement, and that's 4:60. So I thought, I would start with, have you had any thoughts or ideas of where and what you'd want to add? And then, I'm guessing we're going to probably have Tony look through the language and stuff for us, but I thought I'd maybe get started as to if you saw anything in the policy that this is where we should apply something.
So this came up about the Chromebooks, right? Isn't this where this sort of originated? And the issue is that in excess of 25 grand, right? Because anything below that. So would we be changing the dollar amount?
Well, I think there's two things for us to consider. One thing is, if we, with technology, if we're going to go to the $25,000 limit, we're going to probably need to bring something to the board like every meeting or every other meeting, because just to get map testing, that's over 25,000. All the different computer programs, some of them are over, some are not. Purchases of devices, so I don't think that that's bad or that we can't do that. I just think it changes a lot of what we do, because there's a lot that kind of falls into this category. And I know the focus was on Chromebooks at the time. But I think, so then it's just, do we want to say for certain things, or do we want to say all, I don't know if the board...
I think with what Larry and Rick are bringing up is that I think if we were to do this, then the only amendment would be to that number 1 about, so are you guys looking at 4:60?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I was talking about, that 25 grand.
Right, unless specifically exempted. So what I envisioned is what they wanted was to strike that phrase, unless specifically exempted, right?
Yeah.
It kind of sounded like that's what they were getting at.
Yeah.
How cumbersome is that administratively?
Yeah, when I first brought it up with MJ, she did take a pause.
I bet.
And I think it was just, she started to click through what are all the things we do. So it is a little bit cumbersome, but at the same time, if this is what the board wants to do, we're certainly okay with it.
Carol, do you think it's as simple as striking unless specifically exempted?
Well, I mean, that's what it seemed like, that they wanted to go out to bid for everything over, X dollars, right? Isn't that?
But it's different than going out to bid though, isn't it?
Well, I think they weren't happy with that informal procedure of getting, they did the informal procedure because there was that rush, or that we had to get them pretty quickly. But I thought.
Which we did. We got them.
In the future, I thought they did want to go out to bid, and supposedly it happened before this Chromebook purchase that they brought it up.
But I thought that Luann said that going out to bid is a different process, because there's rules about going with the lowest bidder, whereas what MJ did really was get quotes. I mean, I think that language mattered, doesn't it?
What Rick and Larry wanted. I mean, we'll check back with them, but I thought they did want to go out to bid for right?
I thought it was just get quote. Then we do.
Yeah, no. If I can jump in, they really wanted to have a bidding process for everything.
Like a formal bidding process, like the
like a formal.
described?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I think that was the sticking point.
And that adds in, how much time does that add in? Got to be weeks, right, Eric?
It adds at least a month, yes, for the process. Yeah.
That makes me nervous.
Yeah, and and then I think it starts to get complicated. Like, we're not going to go out to bid for MAP. There's only one company that gives it to us. But if we just say this is the rule, then we're going to have to come for everything, so that's where I think maybe just scratching that one phrase isn't going to be enough.
Yeah. Right.
And I think Carol's right. I do think I am leaning a little more in my head of remembering that they did want to go out to bid. So
you do want this, then certain exemptions for those types of things like math. Right. So
how do you come up with that list of exemptions? Is that not just
Right.
going to be a scroll that is 2 pages in itself?
Right.
And it might need to be updated frequently as new
Right.
systems come up and new licenses that we have to purchase and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. And like many of our learning programs are over that amount because
Sure.
you're supplying it for the whole district, and then those have to be re-upped every year. So I just think it is bringing a lot more to the board than we have before. And, we also looked around, this isn't normal in other districts. But at the same time, again, if this is something the board wants to do, we can certainly do it. And I don't mind sharing those thoughts, with the board as well.
So we could do the 2 scenarios where either you go out to bid and then see how if they're okay with that, or if they are okay with the, less formal process. So that's
Yeah.
another option. Maybe they'll be okay with that. That to the extent one of the exemptions applies, then we will do the informal. I don't know, what was it? Get 3 quotes?
I think.
Well, but if I'm, and I may be misremembering this, so help me, but what Luann was saying is that when you go out to bid, you have to go with the lowest responsible bidder. And MJ's point with the Chromebooks is that how we got our delivery time was that was a vendor she'd worked with that she knew would deliver. Whereas maybe the lowest bidder come August would have been like, oh, sorry, see you in January. So.
Right, and then she did contact the other companies and then,
Right, but what I'm saying is she had some sort of professional latitude there to go with the person or the company with whom she had a professional relationship. Whereas in a bidding procedure, wouldn't she have been bound to go with the lowest responsible that maybe couldn't have delivered? So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, what MJ struggled with a little bit too is because districts don't normally do this, then that's the way all the tech directors operate, is that there's a certain system where they can go in, get these certain quotes, compare them and make their decisions. So it's also the tech companies aren't used to doing this either.
Right.
So we would be bringing them into that. I don't know how easy or hard that is, but I think it's going against the curve of what normally happens in a district. At the same time, like I said, we can certainly do it.
Yeah.
So
I think we're all in favor of getting the best price for everything. And I think that's the goal that everyone has in mind for this. So.
Right. But I don't know.
Right. You're saying, it could.
Like we got our Chromebooks and a lot of other districts didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that particular example, I realize it's just one example, but
right.
If we'd added layers to that might not have been the case.
So, with this, I think we could continue to talk about this and talk about it at our next policy committee meeting too. I don't think necessarily we'll have something ready to present, by the next board meeting. And then I also want to look into things too, like when we do have, huge construction projects, like the LRCs, and we did that, and all of that personal property that was involved in that purchase, and just, I guess procedures for that too. We would want to look.
You mean like when we do an addition and have to buy,
and all the LRCs,
or what?
they were right, and those are giant furniture purchases also. Where I think that was one where don't we go through some? What was it? Was a consortium or something where you would go to the certain companies and buy the furniture? Is that what happened?
You're still talking about the LRCs?
Yeah, so I'm just talking about, the district's purchases of personal property,
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure. I'd have to look back at those.
Yeah, so I think that's the sort of thing that we'd also want to look into when we're, reviewing this type of stuff, just all of the, personal property that the district is buying, and what are the different categories. And I know Luann has explained this before about, you know, how certain purchases are made differently. So
Right.
maybe we, you know, need a bigger discussion about that at some point.
So do you
And not
think,
just this.
yeah, do you think it's better, you know, maybe we'd even invite Luann and MJ to our next policy meeting so that we could talk it all through? Or do you feel it's appropriate at this time to get more thoughts from the board? Like, which would you want to do first?
I mean, I guess we could, if everyone's on board with the next policy committee meeting doing that, then that's fine too. And then we could, you know, try to see if Rick and Larry can participate, since, you know, it is important to them. So maybe they'll have different thoughts once they hear from MJ and Luann, or different thoughts about the procedures. So,
Yeah.
I mean, either way, fine. I don't think we have a really heavy agenda. I saw that came out already.
Yeah.
I guess we do have time at the next meeting to talk about it, if Luann and MJ want to.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Rebecca?
Yeah, I would like to hear from Luann and MJ, because I feel like this is something that I'm sure Luann would say, oh, and would be able to rattle off a list of here's what this would complicate. And because I understand the spirit behind what they were talking about, and I totally get it. I just don't want to make a policy that in spirit is we want the lowest price, that then complicates us actually doing that the district can't then do its job, or that we're having all these special meetings to approve things so that they can do them in a timely manner.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we could add a discussion of 4:60 to our next board meeting, if, you know.
I'll add it to the agenda next to press 104 for Thursday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it doesn't get posted till Tuesday, this agenda. So
Well,
there's still time.
I just want to wait a second. So I feel like there's two paths here. One path is, does it make sense to have MJ and Luann come to our next policy meeting and we all talk about it, and then we could bring something to the board? Or do we ask the board at the next meeting, hey, can you give us some more information about where you're going with this, or what you're thinking about? But then I don't know that we're ready to have Luann and MJ and all those, you know, pieces weighing in. So
Right.
I'm thinking maybe it does make more sense for us to talk about it at the next policy meeting first.
Yeah, probably correct.
Yeah, I think that you're right. I think that does work better, because
We
then
have Luann and MJ, and then we'll see if Larry and Rick can participate, right? Is that what we're envisioning?
we can, or they might just want to look at what we came up with and then,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, that's fine.
But I feel like we do need people who do the purchases all the time to say,
Yeah.
to offer, you know, what this complicates or what this helps, because I can't reel off that list.
Yeah. Okay. All right, good.
So next was new business. Let's see, do we have any emails that came in?
None, no public comments as of now.
All right.
Next time, this is just something that we could talk about. I'm not saying that we have to change anything, but so I'm in the world of bankruptcy where, like, in a Chapter 11, all professional fees have to be, you know, approved by the court. You file an application, all that fun stuff. If you're a broker, if you're an attorney, all of that. So we do have a mechanism for attorney's fees where the board could ask for those and just review. I'm trying to find where that was. Where, you know, it's not automatic, where we basically the district pays, but if a board member asks for the fees, then it's you know, disclosed and all of that sort of thing. I was just wondering if anyone's in favor of any sort of, you know, like more streamlined procedure where this is, you know, these are the professionals we're paying, this is how much, and should, you know, we expect that in a packet, or is that too much trouble? And we should just keep this mechanism where a board member can just ask for it.
And I lost the part about the bankruptcy. Were you just using that as an example?
Right. Where certain things like professional fees, they're always just, they're scrutinized and they're disclosed and all of that sort of thing. And then they have to be approved. I'm not saying that we would want the board to approve them, but it's something that we should periodically examine, what we're paying to the professionals. And then also too, I don't know if when this was, but this is early on when we started too, there were discussions about, when we're choosing a new like architect or law firm and that sort of thing, and when are we going to do that? So those are, just possible new things to think about or that we could discuss later. But, if I have something more concrete, then of course I'll bring it up before the next policy committee meeting.
Okay. And I think it'd be a good conversation for the board to have is I can see both sides of it makes sense to give you that information regularly, or is the board getting too into the weeds on it? I think that'd be a good conversation to have.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, Rebecca, any other policies you want to talk about or new business?
I have no new policies.
Okay, well, thank you to you both for reading through those and coming so prepared. So thank you. And Natasha, can you just remind me, is Press 105 out already or it's not out yet?
Yes, it is out already. So we will schedule that as soon as we're done with 104. That's coming to the board on Thursday. So the plan is right after school starts, we're going to set up those meetings.
Okay.
Okay, and then I had a question for the two of you. I'm fine with meeting in person at the, at the ESC. Rebecca, I don't know what your preference is, if you want in person or virtual. Either way is fine for me.
Depends most on childcare, and I don't really have any, so that's my complicated.
Are there any days that work for you, Rebecca, that would be easier?
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are easier.
Okay, I'll make a note of that.
Because then at least the littlest one is gone.
Oh, but he's going to be gone 5 days a week soon, right? But then you don't know about.
Look at Carol knowing where my children are better than I am. That's right. I forgot about that. That's true. So yeah, Carol's right. I guess it won't matter soon. I just did this, so a good thing I have Carol. Carol, what groceries do I need? So yeah, I guess it doesn't matter because the other two are old enough to at least be okay.
And if she answered that question, that was going to make me nervous.
Yeah, right. You should have a tap on my phone.
Yeah.
But Eric, are you at you working?
Yeah.
Oh, you are. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the thing too. In what was it, July? That's when the state had the new IOMA procedures, which said that either I don't know how it would work with the policy committee, but for regular board meetings, you have to have the president or the attorney or the superintendent.
One administrator. Yeah, one administrator has to be
but it didn't
physically
even say
present.
administrator. It just said, I think it meant Eric. So,
Yeah.
But in the future, at any board meeting, if you want someone physically to be there, I could be that person too. It's not, that hard for me to leave my children, just ditch them.
Thank
As
you.
Rebecca said too, I mean, sometimes it does, get loud too, and I'm here. So it's not that big of a deal. And it's probably even easier if I leave and sit there at whatever meeting location that is. I think we're at Carpenter next time, right? Next week.
For the September board meeting?
Yeah, but so you have a person lined up to be there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, really, I think it's going to be, me for the foreseeable future, and then other administrators is, I think they're needed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So I don't know, do we need a motion though, because it's the virtual meeting and they said you need a roll call for everything, right? Or no?
I don't believe you need one, Carol, because it's just a committee meeting. So it's not like a regular board meeting.
Okay, so I'll just note that it's 2:10 p.m. Are we, is everyone ready to adjourn?
Sure.
Okay, sounds good.